Well, I grew up in Miami, Florida, and I've been to Catholic school my whole life, from kindergarten to ninth grade, and then I went to a technical high school.
Hello and welcome to Obehi Podcast. I'm your host, Obehi A14, and I strongly believe that everyone has a story to share. Now let's get started with this episode.
But I've always been interested in history and religion, and where my family come from and why things are the way they are. So I've always been like a Renaissance thinker. So just trying to dazzle myself in every subject interest that question that I have. I guess I was just curious. So I spent my whole life like that. So I guess after my high school, I went to college in Boston for a little bit. That didn't work out. So when I came back, I just did, nursing and little side jobs like dental and things like that. So basically, that's who I am and what I do, my interests.
All right, that's interesting. So you're a nurse, right?
I did that for about 10 years, taking care of elderly people, and something that's close to my heart. I love doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that for a long time, but then I wanted a change. So I went to college for medical coding, and I got my degree in my associate's degree in medical coding, but I didn't pass the license. So it's hard for me to get a job in there unless I go up north, but I'm not ready to make that move.
What does it mean by medical coding? Can you expatiate on that? What does that mean?
Sure. So basically, I take the doctor's notes and I just turn them into code. So basically, what he did, if he prescribed something, or why the person has the illness they do. So each of them have a code, and so I had to go through vigorous training for that, because you have to know how to find it, basically, and it's insurance and billing, basically.
All right. And what would you need that kind of information for? For the doctor or maybe for the record?
It's for insurance records, for to bill the insurance carrier, and just for a record in general for public population.
You grew up in Florida.
Yes.
Do you want to tell me a bit about how it was for you to grow up as a young adolescent in Florida at the time?
In my time, I used to sleep with the window open and the door unlocked. It was a good time. So I was born in '79, so I'm basically like an '80s baby. So I've been through that era, and back then it was just friendly fighting and whatever. But then, people started carrying blades and knives. And then after that, then you've seen a lot of guns. So I lived during a time before there was even cameras in the store, for stealing. So it was a very, very nice neighborhood that I lived in. But the young police in that area were the ones who was making it bad for everyone. So
Generally, you feel it was a good moment. It's better than what you have today. Is that what you're saying, right?
oh yes, it was a very, very nice. Like I said, I slept with my windows open, like it was a friendly neighborhood in North Miami Beach.
Mm-hmm. All
Yeah.
right. You were also saying before that you have a lot of interest in religion and also history, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to tell us a bit about your interest in history? What kind of history are you interested in? What is your orientation in it? Tell us about that. We love history here.
Sure. I feel that I'm more like an anthropologist, per se, because if I find a topic that interests me, I'll go into, let's say I'm researching a city. Then I want to know what kind of food they ate. Then I want to know, what type of religions they have, or if they had any wars. And so I just kind of go into everything. If there's a particular flower they like, why do they like it? And then I see if they maybe, eat it, or they use it for something spiritual. So I kind of like, um, it's more than just history. Like I just like learning, and whatever I feel like my intuition takes me, and I just go in that direction, and then I always find something that I really needed to know.
We believe that everyone has a story to share. We believe in the power of storytelling in today's digital economy. Yes, we believe that our audience need to be touched at the level of emotion so we can better engage. What about you? Do you believe in storytelling as much as we do? Do you want to reach the hearts and minds of your audience? Then join us in our online training class, Storytelling for Content Creators and Digital Entrepreneurs. Come to obehi.com/storytelling and learn how to leverage your storytelling skills so you can earn more as a content creator and digital entrepreneur. Storytelling is a powerful instrument at our disposal. Let's explore it together. See you in the class.
So it's kind of like stopping to smell the roses. So it seems like I'm wasting a lot of time, but I'm really not, because it always brings me into another direction of something where I feel like I needed to know.
And you do all this for what reason? Do you do it as a job? You do it for fun? You do it because you are studying it? Is there any finality to it?
That's a good question. I do it for, I feel like it's what drives me. I would rather pick up a history book than watch a movie or listen to music. I'm totally not inclined with what's out there in the world because I'm always reading something new. And it always is in the area of history and religion. I guess what got me to this is what I was always interested in, why white people and black people don't get along, which is, and how we got into this mess, if we were ever friends at all at one point, and things like that. And maybe I can find the magic thing that could turn it all around and make us all like happy and friends again, I guess, would be like the dream for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, everybody will be happy together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you found a recipe for that? I mean, what do you think can make it work for everybody to be happy with each other? Maybe the United States, for example, maybe that is where you are. And that can be an example.
Yes. I definitely would support the United States coming together because it's dear to me because I grew up here and this is my culture, even though I'm, of course, Black, so I'm African, Haitian American, but I see the hope, and I see that there's a lot of potential here. So the antidote is the same thing everyone has been screaming, is just education, proper education and etiquette and comportment of the adolescent. And so this generation is probably like, messed up. You can't come back from it. Like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. But if you start from the youth, research has found that when you teach the children, let's say about economics or strategies of saving, they always bring it back home. So whatever you teach a child in school, if it makes sense, of course, they're going to always want to bring it back home. So then it'll go out into the community.
So you are saying, I don't think if I hear you correctly, that is the student or the adolescent of today are sort of messed up, or they are not. Yeah, are they where the problem is, or the problem is actually with the adult? I'm not sure I get that perfectly.
Yeah. So like I said, I don't really have. I don't want to say I have the answer because I feel like everyone has a little bit of the answer. I can try to make a strategy for it. But it's not just one problem, if you know what I mean. And there's too many people on the table, so there's too many opinions, and everyone wants to be the boss and wants to make sure that they're the one who came up with the idea, and they came from them or whatever. And I think it's very big-headed. But I think it's just too many things for me to even go into it. I don't know if you want me to go into it, but Like I said, education, infrastructure, maybe opening up centers for people to, challenge their talents and gifts and hobbies. I always want to do that, make a center for that. And I educate the children to let them know, what's the truth and what's false. Um, and basically, right now, the only ones in the playing field who can make a change is like the international organizations and things like that. They're the only ones who's really on the playing field. The rest of us are just like screaming, but there's nothing coming out of our mouth. We're just silent, if you know what I mean.
Is it possible that people are finding it difficult to engage, and that is why they are not living that kind of that peaceful living together that you were describing before, which is really the dream of everybody, but we seem not to see it done. But
Yeah.
is it because we are not talking to each other, we are not engaging, that we are afraid? Because we are afraid now, we don't talk, and because we don't talk, we are afraid. So sort of turning around in a circle. I don't know if you want to say anything about that.
Sure, of course. Well, I think that we have a language barrier. Over here in the United States, when we're articulating, we say the subject, the object first instead of the subject. Be a problem. You make um, different cultures may come off a little bit too direct. Some people are very touchy, and they get offended, and that's what drives their decision. It's not actually a practical decision. And then on the other front, with people feeling fear, sometimes, let's say over here we have something called lobbyists, which is companies that put money into a different governments, things like that. So you have to run their agenda, and um, if you don't do that, then they're sabotaging you. They know who your playing field, so they sabotage you. So some of these uh, big guys, I don't want to say the word, but I'm talking about the big guys. They are scared, because they've already signed a deal with the devil. Just like, you know what I mean? How we see in movies. And so now if they set their living is different, so they can't, you know, live the way they want to live because their money's messed up, and then they're threatening their children. This is like an ongoing thing, and I don't know why adults fall into this, because we're in a democracy, so we can vote for whatever laws we want to change, but they try to do it in other ways, which is extortion and intimidation. And so when the big guys are getting pimped and there's intimidation there and there's fear, then they can't respond to the little people's calling.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
that's
see.
what's going on. So yeah, so maybe they want to be in that type of arena, maybe they don't, but I know that when you start messing up someone's money, they're gonna come for you, and that's just what it is. It's all about the money, you know what I mean? But I have hope, that we'll be walking and picking cherries and oranges in the public, because there'll be so many trees and this and that, and that's my dream.
But how is that dream going to become a reality? Because it's lovely. It's lovely to talk about it, to imagine it, to even dream about it. Why not? But how do we translate it into reality? What is stopping us?
I think what is stopping us is that um, the big guys, like I said, the man, they're hiding the truth about how we got in this predicament and why the world is what it is. And I understand that it had to be something forced for us to come into this modern era that we're in now, which is amazing. And the people who did it to us are not here no more. They're all dead. So, because it happened hundreds of years ago. But the continuation is what's the problem. Is like, why do you hate me? You know what I mean? But to make this a reality, I would just, there's something that I learned was that you get more out of someone when they volunteer instead of you paying them. And so volunteers. volunteers have such a drive. They have such a passion. They're doing it from the heart. They're doing it because they want to, because they have the time, or they they see the vision. So volunteers, people with like minds, being at the round table, and telling the truth, about why we're in this predicament, as Black people, we were brought over here, not only Black people, but the Irish was also enslaved too. That's why they still treat the Irish people bad, or they always call them the N-word like us. But they were indentured servants, they didn't go through the harsh things like we did, but they were also. So I'm not trying to down like the things that Black people went through, but basically we're prisoners of war. So and we lost. That's the truth. But we didn't lose entirely. I really thought that, we lost and it's over, but we did not, because Africa is still Africa, and it's thriving, and there's so much uncharted area that there's still hope, And just last night I was saying also, that women haven't been able to vote for more than 4,000 years. And just 50 years ago, we started to vote, And so we're still in like that caveman, era, you know what I mean? We're just starting to jump over the hurdle, but we're not actually there. You know what I mean? And so I just want to say that there's hope, that just, you get people like minds, volunteers, things like that, and basically just plant, because in the Bible, I read the Bible and the Quran and Torah, they're all the same to me. I don't discriminate. As long as you're saying nice things, I'm gonna read it. But it says that you should plant, like we were put here to plant and to make children, to populate, not to make children, but to populate. So I think we should just do whatever the Bible says, you know what I mean? Minus the slavery part, because there's some bad things in there. And corporal punishment.
So in your words, the Bible is a manual that everybody must play by, correct?
Yeah. All the instructions are in there. I mean, there's nothing for me to invent the wheel again. I mean, there's oils in there, there's medicines in there, there's some people don't believe in it because it's so long ago, so they don't know if it's true or not, but I had the faith that it was true. I was a believer before I even had proof of it, which is a blessing. It says in the Bible, if you believe and you have no proof of it, and I was brought up into it, and I could have went the other way, because I learned about other religions, Rasta, and Muslim, and this and that. But I decided to stick to the Catholic my mom gave me, and it was comfortable for me because I like the way they congregate and things like that,
All right. Now, what about if the Bible then become a manual that everybody must obey? What about the people who do not read the Bible? What do we do about them? We just throw them away, or how do we deal with them?
Oh, the people who don't read the Bible, it's fine, as long as you're not like causing harm in the public, terrorizing the community. I mean, if you're a nice person and you get along, I mean, like that's what the Bible teaches. As a matter of fact, it says you don't even have, in the end times, you don't even need the tabernacle law of Zion, which is why we kept moving. Because every time someone came in and stole it, we just left with them. The whole crowd went. When you took the relics from Solomon's temple, everyone had to leave because that's where God's relics was, And so, and of course, they stole the teachers or whatever to teach their children.
To be a great content creator in today's fast-changing economy, you need one thing: storytelling. Storytelling is a powerful instrument to leverage either for personal use or for your business success. This is why this training class, Storytelling for Content Creator and Digital Entrepreneurs, was created. It is designed to help you leverage the power of storytelling so you can stand out from the crowd and earn more in your business. Come to obehi-4.com/storytelling and learn how to leverage your storytelling skill to earn more as a content creator and digital entrepreneur. You need the power of storytelling to stand out in the competition. So let's explore it together. See you in the class.
We don't even need it anymore because it's already in us. You know how to, wrong from right, more or less. You know what I mean? If you have sense. And if you're not too educated, you're not going to have that much sense for soft skills. You know what I mean? Well, I can't really say that because if you do have education, instructions, you may not have education, which is the soft skills of how to comport yourself. Instructions is just learning the verbiage of the practicum.
All right. Anyway, we'll probably leave the religious part of it out, but I like the hope on it. So let's trail on that a bit more. Now, when you talk with some other people within your neighborhood that about this your dream that maybe we could have a more better society where everybody is living in peace. What do you hear them talk to you about their experience, also their own concern, or what they feel about that possibility or the impossibility of that?
Nobody believes it. Hardly anyone thinks that it's a dead end. Nobody really into that. Um, it's really hard to fathom that it'll be right, but I think that's the only thing is just that to don't invent the wheel because it's already been invented, and everything that's for us is already. No matter how bad they want to make it, it's always going to turn on the right foot for us because we're God's people. And so, although you said to leave the religion alone, some people won't convert to a certain religion. That's fine. But the truth is that, I know that God exists, um, because I have proof of it. They think that it's no hope. There's no hope. Like, we're all doomed and it's just getting worse and worse. And I understand that, because there's a lot of people on the top playing fields that are want it to work for them. And it's really selfish. So, but that's just how it is. But I have the hope because I have the dream. I feel like I have the hope for everyone who doesn't have hope.
And when
And
they tell you they don't have hope, what do you do with them? How do you share your hope with them so that they can have a bit of it? Because you have a lot of it.
I guess just like Thomas, you have to touch it to see it's for real. So they have to see it going, starting, and then they jump on the bandwagon. So some people are just Thomas. If they don't see something happening, then they don't believe it. But I'm not. I have faith.
So you would rather have faith instead of maybe try to see whether the thing is real or is there or is not there, but believe that it is. You prefer that, right?
I have a lot of faith. I do. And even if someone doesn't have no hope, it doesn't bring mine down. I even have even more hope. I want to believe for them that it's a possibility for us to have world peace. I promise that I know it's a thing, you know. Um, Basically, you just have to listen to both sides of the story, and you have to come to a medium. And the medium may not happen right away. You may have to go back on the table and have another conversation. It's not going to happen all at once. So there needs to be a mediator that's not biased. And that's kind of hard because you don't know what's in the person's heart. So you have a mediator on both sides that both sides agree with. So you have two mediators. And then with that, then you can come to a solution. I guess that would be the antidote. I did make like a prototype for a software where people can negotiate and have a grievance where you can basically share your concern, because this is very, very important. Because whenever uh, something is going to be done, for it to be done, you have to have a survey. So you have to have a survey of what the groups are thinking about. and then you see what's practical and what's not. And hopefully the agenda is a positive one. And then you can take it and it'll be great, you know. But if it's a negative one, then it'll just put us back again, socioeconomically, socially, it'll put us back again. I mean, just imagine if, you know, we've never been in slavery. Like, just imagine that, just for a moment, that if Black people never been enslaved, you know, if the Hebrews never got taken from the city of On, um, what would happen? You know how much advanced we would have been? We would have been like, we would have been driving around in cars right now if like this didn't happen to us, because African people, I'm just gonna say that I don't want to be biased. So just people, when they come together, they're so intelligent. You know what I'm saying? Two minds work better than one. I know you heard that before, and that's kind of what holds people together too. These sayings, these positive sayings, things like that. Even though you don't read the Bible, you're not religious, but these are the things that, you know, hold us, you know, keep us firm. So just imagine if we never been in that, we'd have been so far. I mean, like, you know, and then we had so much resources to share with everybody, even till now, so much apparently, right? And so I think that if you give the reason behind why you're doing what you're doing, then maybe someone could get an inkling and say, hey, maybe I shouldn't oppress these people, because maybe we could actually live together and, you know, have some things together. But you know what the problem is? Arrogance. I want to be the one to say, I put my name on it. I did it. I'm the one who did it. You didn't do it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to sabotage you because I want to be the one to say I did it. You know, like, who cares who did it? You know what I mean? The Bible even says when you make a monument for God, you don't make it for him, you make it for you. you you glorify it, you know what I mean? Because it's still vanity. You know what I mean? So don't think that when you put your name on it, you're gonna be some legendary immortal god or something like that, or people gonna look at you and now you have power and you go in this door and you go in that door. But you know it's more even more eloquent than that, that you're just a regular person and you could go in the low house or whatever how you would call it, just being in general, someone with a lower class, and then you could go in the door with someone with a higher class and still have etiquette and know that you don't have to be rowdy, you don't have to be so oblivious and everything like that. So that's key right there. So, and that's not hard to see. I mean, once you see somebody, you could see if they're you know, boasty and things like that, you know, and address it. You know what I mean? You don't want to be judgmental, but you can address it. You know what I mean? And then maybe if the person has some training, some home training, then maybe now you can sit at the table. You know what I mean? But a lot of people are a little bit, you know, prideful, and it's kind of messing us up, you know.
Thank you for that. Now, in the midst of this hope of being able to live in peace, because it is important for us that we can actually live in peace and be progressive, no? Because there's a lot of resources around that can help us to be able to achieve it. But sometimes we see now that we are not achieving it. Instead, we see there's a lot of people that are hungry in the world today. Not because there is no food to feed them. It's just because some other persons feel that it is good like this to keep the balance for them, to remain on top so that others can remain below them. This is essentially why it is, not because there is no food. The earth have produced enough food to feed everybody that is living on earth today, and we'll all be happy. But we see that we are not there now. But we have a lot of justification why that is not the case. But because you are hopeful, we say that you have a lot of hope towards a kind of a more beautiful world, a beautiful society. In this case, let's go back to the United States because you are in the United States. How could we back up this hope with action? What kind of concrete action do you think we could take so that we can actualize that, so that everybody can actually live in peace and we can love each other? Yeah.
In our communities, to start trading with our family and friends and our neighbors, and maybe we can alleviate some of the pressure that's on the big guys who's importing all these things. So a lot of the wars happen is because we're in demand. We're demanding these products. We're demanding the oil and this and that. We're demanding all it because we need it. We buy it every day, so it's in demand. So maybe if we can help ourselves a little bit, maybe do some of the work at home. Certain things we could do. We could make our own cups. There's certain moldings we could find to, do our little household things. And so it's not too much demand, and this will maybe stop some of the hatred and the warfare and things like that. Maybe what I'm saying is kind of bad. People in the top probably won't like that. But we have to bring it back to the table. We have to come back home because everybody's in the street. And when we've been liberated, we're at partying. We've been partying for about 100 years. Been partying. It's time to the party's over. You know what I mean? Time to wake up and know what exactly happened. Like I said, 50 years ago, women started voting. 51 years now ago, people started voting. Women in general and Black men in America was right before women being able to vote. I think it was a year or two prior. And so we just got over the hurdle of helping women because we've been in slavery for a very long time. You know what I mean? And if my calculations are correct, it was around 2000 BC is when we lost our rights. And so when Sargon invaded or whatever, if that story is correct. And so I take the stories in the Bible with a grain of salt. I know that it's been passed down and maybe altered a little bit, and I'm not reading it in a proper language. So it's probably not what it's saying, what it's supposed to say correctly. But it's a narrative that brings hope to you when you read it because you're like, okay, this character did it. Maybe I can do it. I can have that drive. I know it's better. You know what I mean? Because I can't do everything for everybody. I mean, I wish I could, but I'm just one little lady. So and I can't dictate anything to anyone because I haven't walked in your shoes. I only walked in my shoes. So I know what I need personally in my life and my neighborhood, what has been going on here, and that we have to help homeless people. And what's really gets me is veterans, people who's been to war, and when they come back, they don't have the love that they're supposed to have and the benefits and things like that, and they're struggling. Sometimes I see them homeless. It's a really big thing. You know what I mean? These people should have been honored because they're taking on a task that they don't know nothing about. They may not even know why they're going there, but they hold that oath. And so God recognizes these people that sometimes they don't know that they're doing bad, but they are, you know what I mean? Maybe have to support their family, and they already got in the contract, so you can't get out or you go to jail, because you know that if you go to the army, you have to do your whole contract. And so I have a love for veterans. I have a love for everyone, basically, and I want to see everyone going down the street picking cherries and oranges on trees and bushes, because we have enough space and we have enough vegetation. We have so many parks that's just sitting there doing nothing with just greens and shrubs. And why can't we, do that? Because, maybe because people will be lazy and then they won't need to go to work because they could go pick all, this and that, whatever. And so because of that, I guess what the antidote is to have centers where people can go and challenge their talents, hobbies, and gifts. And they can also have a communion. So then we have celebrations where the people can come together and show their new inventions and what they've been, what they could bring to the world, or what, an inspiration, or for whatever reason, they can have a place where they can express themselves. And so that's how I would combat the laziness.
If you enjoy this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi Podcast and share with your friends who might need it. I remain Obehi Ewanfo. Thank you so much for listening, and talk to you in the next episode.